Yo, 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 Goosey checking in. And today I am going to break down Max Holloway versus the Korean Zombie because it was an absolute banger. And I think it deserves it. Those two dudes went out there, put it on the line in Singapore today. Early card, I was up 5 a.m., but definitely, definitely worth losing a little sleep because the card as a whole was a banger. The fans were incredible over there in Singapore, and I didn't realize how big the Korean Zombies base was in Asia. I kind of just figured that Max would be the fan favorite, but even though he did have support, definitely the majority was there to see the Korean Zombie in action, I would say. Um, and we're just going to get straight into the main event here. Normally we get on here, we do a recap. It's the card as a whole, and it was a banger card, like I mentioned, but I just want to put an extra spotlight on this main event because maybe recency bias, but this is one of my favorite fights this year so far. And I'm going to break it down as a whole to really put it into perspective. But you start with the walkouts, the iconic Zombie by the Cranberries. You're in Asia, you don't really know how the fans are going to react, but they knew every word, belting it along with Zombies in the moment too. That was cool. A lot of guys in a possible retirement fight could be domed up out there thinking about everything that could go wrong, thinking about the fight solely. But he was hyping up the crowd, and it really created just a phenomenal moment. Then next up, we got Max Holloway walking out. They got the red lights. Obviously, an extra weight on his back with everything that's happening in Hawaii right now. And it was really cool to see just all the love and support. One that the Singapore crowd had, the UFC for Max, but it did create a really cool moment. They got red lights all over the arena. And then he had those red shorts, which red shorts Max Holloway might be a mythical fighter because he had all of Hawaii in that one punch walk off KO, which we'll get to later. But let's start out first round like all fights do. This was a very close round. Max Holloway came out and kind of wanted to feel it out. Korean Zombie's been out 16 months. You don't really know what to expect. And as a fan seeing it, he had the knee brace on, he had the ankle brace on. I was a little bit worried that we were going to get a less than 100% version of Korean Zombie, but he looked phenomenal, especially early. He had some explosion, he had pop in the punches, and he just fights like a zombie. He was walking Max down, taking big shots to hit him with big shots. He did start faster than Max, definitely. He brought urgency to the fight. I think Max would have been content going in and really feeling it out, but from the bell, the Korean Zombie was just walking him down, hitting some shots. Bisping did say that he wobbled him early. He hit him with a good shot. I still don't know if we saw Max too wobbled in there, but in the haste, Max caught him with a check hook that really wobbled the Zombie, and I think that was probably the decisive strike in the round. Going back and forth, pretty close on the striking numbers, pretty close on the pop. Max just wobbled him a few times when the Korean Zombie was pushing the pace a little too much. But on to the second round where more of the same. They were kind of trading. Max hit him with a shot right behind the ear. Not intentional. Korean Zombie was turning his head and then glanced off him, dropped him bad, where Max thought the fight was over. But in true Korean Zombie form, he rolls over, grabs a leg. Max tries to snatch up a anaconda choke, I believe it was, and it was quick. Max underrated jiu-jitsu for sure. He's very slick on the mat, and he's got a hell of a squeeze, but the Korean Zombie wasn't going out like that. Chan Sung Jung stuck it out. Max was actually saying to Mark Goddard while he had him in the sub, he's like, I think he's out. I think he's out. Mark Goddard checked. Korean Zombie responded, and the fight's still rolling. about 30 seconds he was in the choke before Max Holloway gave up on it, realized, this is a 5 round fight, got to save the arms, and rolled over, tried to get top mount, ended up in a pretty good scramble, and they're on the feet. And Korean Zombie's got his tongue out saying, let's go, and that was kind of the attitude this whole fight. Both guys were never going to back down. Both guys were fighting with a little extra emphasis, something to prove, and it really showed out because the rest of the second round, very, very competitive, very entertaining. Max was probably getting the better end of the exchanges, but TKZ was still getting his licks in too, and going into the third round, Max was probably starting to pull away, but that's to be expected. He has that just goat cardio, one of the best ever in that respect. He's throwing so much volume. And the third round was probably, in my eyes, one of the coolest moments in MMA this whole year, because you have Chan Sung Jung, who's sitting there in his corner and he just accepts it. He's like, it's going down this round. It's going down right here, because he came out, and most guys talk about it, go out on your shield, live by the sword, die by the sword. But that is truly what happened. A lot of guys would have been content with, oh, it's my retirement fight. I'm fighting a legend in Max Holloway. I'm in Singapore. The crowd's going nuts. Let's try and get this to decision and go out, saying I had a good fight with Max Holloway. But that was not the mindset of the Korean Zombie, if anyone even thought it would be. The guy's just built a little different. He's got that edge to him, and he came out gangbusters, throwing shots, hitting Max, catching him a little bit off guard just with how reckless he came in. But you go in and you stand in the phone booth with Max Holloway, it's not going to end too well. And it's kind of like that scene in The Town when he's robbing the bank and he knows he's caught. He goes out in a blaze of glory. And that is what the Korean Zombie did, because he was not like, he wasn't accepting this fight going anyway, except for ending right there. He was going to finish it, or he was going to get finished. And Max caught him with a big right, dropped him, fight over immediately. And yeah, Max hit him with that punch from Hawaii. He said he had Hawaii on his back, and he had some extra pop in his shots today for sure. It's honestly making it a little bit interesting here what he does next, because he still looked good. He still looks like he's getting better, and the strength is coming in. He says he feels stronger, and you could see that in some of these shots he was hitting. You compare the Volkanovski fight versus Korean Zombie to Max, and Max just seemed to have a little bit more oomph on those shots. And as much as I know that series is 3-0 at featherweight right now, like, you got Ilya, who's probably up next, but other than that, man, you might have to give Max the 4-0 or the fourth shot. And I don't think that that's an entertaining fight for sure. I don't think that's a wash for Volk, because we see that Max is evolving. I agree that Volk is getting better right now too, but you look at it, Max Holloway's 31. Like, he's coming into his prime here. Volk's on the back end. We see we also have seen the stats where if you get over 36 years old in title fights from flyweight up to welterweight, those guys are like 1 in 20 something, maybe 30 something in title shots. And that one was Tyron Woodley way back when. So, I mean, I'm not anticipating that Volk's going to have a fall off here, but if they do the quadrilogy, I think it is as entertaining as a quadrilogy could be for being down 3-0. We just saw Izzy have that big moment to make it 3-1, such a huge iconic moment. I think maybe give Max that shot too, because featherweight is more fun when you have him at the top. And if you don't give him that shot, he's going to have to move to lightweight here soon, because he can't just keep cleaning out the division's prospects. There are definitely some big fights at lightweight. You know, you could go Gaethje for the BMF belt. There are a few other options. Poirier's coming off a loss. I don't know if that's the fight to make, but Holloway's got options. Such a sick fight. I loved every minute of it. And then even at the end, you know, emotions are high. Chan Sung Jung, you know, lays the gloves down. He's retiring. And I don't, whoever was on the UFC audio team to play Zombie as he walked out, give that person a raise, because it really did create one of the all-time greatest retirement moments. You know, I watched it back a few times now, as I do with just fights that I really think are some of the coolest fights, and that moment gives me goosebumps every time. You know, you can see how much it meant, how much he truly loved being a UFC fighter, and that's what it's all about. The fans were showing appreciation. I saw Jamal Hill threw a little diss at the Brazilian fans, but it is true. They kind of ruined a big retirement moment for Glover, what could have been. So it's really, really cool seeing how Singapore treated the Korean Zombie and just the UFC as a whole creating that moment. So those are some of the moments why we love being fans, why we love the sport. And all in all, just a phenomenal fight, a phenomenal card, and really some of the coolest moments that I've seen in a while. You know, it seems like the UFC is putting just banger cards back to back to back these days, because we're coming off the O'Malley dub with Boston going crazy. We're going into Singapore, which this one was falling under a lot of people's radars, and it really, really showed out and probably surprised a lot of people. I will say I probably overlooked this card a little bit, but I'm very glad I set my alarm and got up at 5 a.m. to watch it, because truly enjoyable. And as a whole, maybe one of my favorite cards this year. I'm not going to say number one, but definitely up there for sure. And big stuff on the horizon for Max Holloway. Thank you, Korean Zombie. Hit the socials. You know, we're over 1,200 subs right now on here. We got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. We're pumping out content. We're growing this thing. Rocket fuel, baby. We're going to the moon. I'm out.